Yes,
What would
I
you say to
do.
people who do not have this information?
You better pick up a book and read.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, it's Aisha from AGIF. It's the Orange the World campaign against gender-based violence, and AGIF is out on the streets of Abuja to ask residents about their thoughts on emotional abuse against gender-based violence. Stay tuned.
So have you ever heard of OTW? That's the Orange the World campaign.
No, I don't think I have.
You've never heard of it?
Yeah.
So Orange the World is a campaign whereby we shed more light on gender-based violence.
Okay.
So gender-based violence for women and girls, particularly, but gender-based violence as
Yeah,
a whole.
understand.
So you've not heard of
I've not heard of OTW, but I've heard of GBV.
GBV. So
Yeah.
it's basically
Yeah.
interwoven.
No?
I have.
what
That's
do you know
the
about it?
16 days of activism
Yeah.
against gender-based violence.
What else do you know about it?
I think I read about the brief history of how it started. Of how it started and the origination and how the three sisters that were killed and all of that.
You
Yes.
actually have a lot of
Yes,
information.
No, I haven't, but he just told me now what it's all about.
So now you are aware of it?
Yeah.
No,
Just heard it for the first
I
time.
haven't.
For the first time?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the term emotional abuse?
Gaslighting, all of those general guys being scum. I don't think I should say that. But generally, gaslighting, making you feel like you're imagining things, playing on your emotions, making you go all the way, love bombing you, making you go all the way up and then down. General, all of that.
Emotional abuse. The first thing that comes to my mind is when someone is being abused emotionally, like you abuse somebody emotionally, you just hurt the person without minding how that person feels. Like you just do something or say something that hurts that person, and when that thing hurts that person, you're less concerned about it, and that person might be emotionally hurt without you even knowing about it. So I just feel emotional abuse is something that someone can do to someone without even knowing that you hurt that person emotionally. So one needs to be very, very mindful of what you say to people. You understand? Because it might hurt them without you knowing about it. Yeah.
Or everything. So to me, emotional abuse just goes beyond the words that we use, right? It also goes like body language. I'm someone who studied communication, for example. So it's very easy for me to cite emotional abuse even when you don't speak to me, right? So I feel like in line with the conversation for today, because I am about gender-based violence, women are very much emotionally abused. Sometimes they might not be. I don't have to hit you to abuse you, right? To abuse you. Emotional abuse is still abuse, right? So I feel like it doesn't even have to be like too many words. It can also be body language, and it's messed up if we're being honest. So yeah.
Well, a lot of things actually come to play. Emotional abuse, it could be physical, it could be emotional, but for me, I feel that it goes beyond, emotional goes beyond the physical. There could be a lot of emotional abuse where you talk to somebody and then the person is like emotionally imbalanced.
So maybe someone who uses their words or someone who feeds on the feelings of others, because emotionally it usually has to do with the feelings, the way someone feels. So I think using someone's feelings against them, trying to make them feel down. Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Okay.
Or maybe downplaying someone emotionally, or just trying to blackmail someone emotionally, something like that.
Emotional abuse can be in like relationships, families. It just depends. It varies. So relationship, they can abuse you like with words, like not talking to you, just keeping malice and everything like that. So I think that's just.
Okay, do you know anyone who has ever been in an emotionally abusive relationship?
I think it will be harder to find someone that hasn't been in an emotionally abusive relationship.
Have you?
Of course.
Of course.
I've dated Yoruba men. I'm Yoruba.
Yoruba
so,
men?
Cool.
What did they do to you? What did they do to you?
They've done a lot. Oh,
Can you give like?
they've introduced me to
sites?
their parents, and then it ends up not being their parents. So fun times.
Any other thing? Like just give examples. This is for people who don't even know that these things happen.
Okay, I've had someone tell me to come and meet them somewhere, and then it's like April Fool, and it was really all of that. So generally, I feel like whenever you feel something doesn't feel right, it's not right, and then you should avoid it.
So you had that feeling all through.
I didn't for a long time. I'm a pretty emotional person. So when I say I like someone or I love someone, I'm very, very Disney princess about it. Now I'm more reserved and more loving myself and giving myself all of that love.
Yeah. In fact, so many, even me myself, I think I'm one person that I passed through that before. And when I go into that emotional abuse, I really feel depressed. Yeah, I had to look for someone that is very close to me for me to share my, like something, that thing that hurts me. I'll just share that thing with that person. Maybe when after sharing it, I'll feel a bit relief, then maybe get a bit advice, then I think I've passed through it. Yes.
So did you stay in that relationship?
I didn't stay, but I stayed for like about 2 years. It was actually marriage, not just relationship. My ex-marriage. Yes, I was really, really emotionally abused, but I thank God that I'm out of it. But it really takes a while. Like, it got me really, really down, and I was depressed. But I thank God that today it's all over, and I'm trying to pick my pieces and move on. Life goes on, no matter what.
You have gone through something like that?
Me? Couldn't be me, cannot be Dick. But
why can't it be you?
I feel like it's because the kind of person that I am,
Okay.
I don't do the whole, I have to experience it for myself. My aunts will always say, the voices of people are the voices of angels. So when somebody tells me, oh, I've been through this, and I'm like, okay, I'll hold that. Another person says the same thing, I'll hold another. So if all of you have been through this, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not. Anyways, but I know a lot of people who have gone through all of that. And because, you know, being the kind of person that I am, I have so many people who will always reach out to me and say, oh, I'm going through this. And then I have to talk to them about it, and then they'll tell me what they're going through. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot. But what you can do is just focus on yourself. Just try to love yourself and find, you know, peace in yourself before you try to find peace in someone else.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot, right?
I've heard about a lot, but I haven't been in an abusive relationship, but I've heard so much. I have seen and I have heard. I've seen and I've heard people who have actually almost lost their lives in an abusive relationship. But for me, it's really something that one needs to... Emotional abuse is something that needs to be addressed and overemphasized in the society, so that the young ones coming up will also know what it's all about, and probably to also guide them in choosing the right partner in terms of relationships and maybe their future partners in life.
Came from very loving homes, so I don't think we...
So you never heard, you don't have friends, nobody at all?
We only watch this on YouTube, Sha. For me, I only watch them.
Just see some things online, and just I watched the video some time ago. Yeah, some weeks ago.
What happened?
And she was in a very abusive relationship with the person she got married to. They're not actually married, he went ahead to, okay, you're not married yet, but he paid her bride price, and after paying the bride price, he did the whole process hastily. It was fast, and in less than, immediately he went to see her parents. From what I saw, he decided to pay the bride price, and the parents were like, her dad was late, because she said in the interview that if her dad were alive, he wouldn't have allowed him go fast the way he did. And after that, she moved into his house and noticed some kind of things about him.
Like what?
That he was not the person who she thought he was. He smokes, which she did not know about. And to make the matters worse, the person who introduced her to the person, to the young man, was a reverend in the church. So it made the whole thing, so at some point she had to call him to come and see the person he introduced her to, and he was like, no, he can't believe that this is it, that he's so sorry and there's nothing he could do about it. Yeah, but she was going through a lot, but emotionally at some point he became abusive as well. So
Nah, not at all.
Anyone around you?
None that I know of. I just see online, social media and the rest like that.
I was literally just talking to my sister right now, and she was like, marriage. The concept that I would be lonely when I'm single, or I would not be happy without a man. And I was just having that conversation with her less than a couple of minutes ago when I was coming. So that is one of the pressure on women, the fact that life is not complete without a man. And so no matter how bad it is, it's worse without a man.
So
Yeah, because of my child, I have a boy child. That's why I try my best to see if I to work, but you didn't. So regardless, you just have to move on.
I feel like it's at the end of the day, honestly, it's about self-worth, right? It's because they're looking for something in somebody else that you have to find in yourself first, right? It's not that you can only find peace in another person. It's that you have been addicted to another person giving you peace, that you have forgotten that you can give yourself peace, right? So at the end of the day, I feel like everybody needs to understand that, for example, if I don't find myself, if I don't find happiness in myself, if I don't give myself happiness, how do I? It's like saying that I love somebody but I don't love myself. That's impossible. You cannot give what you don't have, right? So you have to first find peace in yourself before you're able to give peace and find peace in others. So the only reason why you're staying in that is because first you don't love yourself. So you cannot understand love when you don't love yourself.
Number one, maybe because of the fear of the unknown. For me, because I find out that most women probably maybe the financial aspect. Maybe probably they've actually gotten somebody, a guy or a partner who is really financially buoyant enough, and they feel that, man, this is enough security for me. So most times too, it's the way the society have actually molded our mindset. You find out that if a young man doesn't have so much funds, you don't have the money, you don't have what it takes to take care of somebody, you'll be less disadvantaged in terms of relationships. But these days, you see there are young people, the young children, everybody wants to make it. Nobody seems to be patient in life. So everybody wants to, I need to drive this car, I want to have this, I want to have that. So basically, I feel there's so much ills in the society which have actually driven our young ones away from the norms and the core values that society have actually been preaching about.
Thanks so much.
I don't know whether I'll say some are just foolishly in love. I don't know whether I'll say it's some people are in love, so I don't know. That could be it. And I don't know. You can't really advise people about it. I guess you just have to. They get to learn every day about just teaching them basically, and they'll get to learn about it. Yeah.
Do you think men find themselves in abusive relationships?
Of course.
Do you think they get abused?
Of course, they do.
I think so, yes, I think so. I've not seen someone or heard stories. I've heard stories, but I've not seen someone. Okay, yeah, I heard stories, not even in Nigeria here. A colleague of mine, she shared her experience that the person she's currently married to at the moment, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but he was in an abusive relationship. So the woman was not really taking good care of him. I think he's autistic, and being autistic, she was always playing down his emotions and all that. So until he divorced the lady and moved on with his life. So he's a different person now. So yeah.
Yeah, men too get abused. Men get abused. There's some men that are quite quiet, and there are some men that cannot speak out. There's some men that are passing through abuse and they cannot even come out to say it, but they are dying silently. There are so many men are like that. So forget they say women are always the victim, but some men too, I think, do pass through emotional abuse and do pass through abuse. So we should not just skip the men and focus on the women. Like, we should always check the both sides. Yeah.
Yes. Now I feel like that is hardly the conversation of the day, because we're used to. Okay, so you know that if you take a book, right? Now if I show you a blank sheet with a black dot and I ask you, what do you see? The only thing you'll see is the black dots, right? So because we know that the conversation of the day is always women going to, and women, if we're being honest, because women, statistically, women are the most oppressed group, right? So, but I'm saying men also do go through all of that, but like they cannot speak about it because of the society formed, and who forms that society is also men. So like they basically say, as a man you can't do this, as a man you can't feel this, as a man, but in reality men be feeling this shit. Like men feel all of this, right? So let men be men. So we would only know that men are going through this when we allow men speak, right? And know that, okay, they go through this, but they tell them you can't have emotions as this, you can't do this, you can't do this, but at the end of the day you're human as much as you're men. So men do go through all of this, but they don't speak about it as much because of all of this. And sometimes a lot of us are hurt by what men do, that we forget, we treat them like they're the absolute villains, and we forget that men also have emotions, and men go through tons of baggage that society, and society consists of men, women, children. So at the end of the day, we are all being problems for everybody. And all we have to do is just figure out our own selves so we do not be problems for the next person, irrespective of gender.
Of course. Very, very well. In short, I knew of someone who was actually in an abusive relationship, like an abusive marriage. because they're actually settled. And then I can't imagine a society where a woman beats up a man, and aside from that, the woman says whatever happens. Most times too, abusive relationship might not really be coming, maybe somebody, your partner, beating you up physically. It also goes a long way to say the way you control your partner, the way you control your family, maybe physically, financially, and otherwise. You understand? Men also find themselves in equal situation, not just the women, but it's just that it seems to be rampant on the women in our society.
Yeah, definitely. Men do.
Also,
It's not spoken about enough, but I think men do. It's just that women, I think it's more common with women than men. Yeah. Men don't really speak up. They keep things. Unlike women, they're very emotional and they just get to talk about.
During this campaign, we realized a large proportion of women were too shy to answer these questions in front of the camera or to answer them at all. This poses the question, why? To those of us that are speaking, we need our voices to be united for this campaign. To those of us that did speak today, thank you so much for raising your voices on this issue. And to those that couldn't speak today, we hope one day you have enough courage to do so.